2021 has been a very slow start. And I mean, yeah, we're 4 weeks in, but it's kind of, I don't know, quiet. We're all kind of holding our breath. 2021 was a bit of a shocker, and the pandemic is still going. We all have our hope. There's vaccines and everything else in the world, but maybe for a lot of those outdoor gatherings and things, we may not be able to get out there yet. But I want to look just as good in my home as I would as if I was going to Comic-Con or anywhere else like that. So, I want to remake my wardrobe. I want to wear clothing that I'm actually quite proud of. And every time somebody asks me if I made my clothing, I would like to be able to respond with, yes, I did. And thank you. So, I'm going to go through all of my clothing, all of my costumes, and really narrow down what I want my life to look like. My fashion life. I want to change some of my outfits. I would love to be able to say with pride that I made my under things as well as my over things so that everything fits the way that I want it to fit and I look the way I want to look. I have 20 years of sewing experience. However, I'm 31. So that means 20 years of sewing experience started me off when I was 11. And when I was 11, I did not take things very seriously. Most of the time, I asked for costumes really last minute. And while my mom was an amazing person and able to follow through and actually give me costumes, I myself didn't sew anything complicated during those times. A lot of that time was spent on, if I remember right, I spent it on making simple skirts and a lot of outside swimming things. So like little wraparounds and fixing an occasional pocket, hand stitching an occasional t-shirt clothes, that kind of thing. So my journey began there, and my mom, she tried, I promise, she tried to teach me, and she did teach me a lot about quilting. So I made quilts. So a lot of those early days was very well supervised by my mom. And until I was about 23, that was how my sewing experience was. I asked for last minute costumes and my mom either helped me make them or she made them for me last minute. Which basically means I don't have more than maybe 7 years of my own personal experience in learning to sew well. I've spent the last 4 years working at a fabric store, and in that time I have learned a lot about fashion, a lot about patterns, and a lot about fabric. I didn't learn as much about stitches and all of their uses and how to do that, but I did use my brain to help customers get what they needed out of whatever they were doing. I do understand the concept of sewing very well, and I can creatively get around certain problems, especially if you don't have the right tools, the right thread, the right fabric, as well as I really like to show off my color. So often I like to wear super loud, super out there clothing, and I designed the clothing that I do wear to be like that. In the last few years, I have made my clothing be what I wanted it to be when I was a kid. And while I might not have worn as much back then because a lot of my life was secondhand and I wasn't paying attention, I wasn't fashionable, I wanted to be as different from my younger sister as possible. So I wore loose clothing, I didn't tighten anything, I didn't try to show off, and until my high school years, I really tried to keep everything covered up. High school was different for all of us, and I'm not entirely proud of all of the ways that I looked during my high school years. But that's over now. I'm 30, or over 30, and now I want to look the way I want to look and still be professional and clean. Kind of my 2021 resolution. I'm going to remake my wardrobe, and the first step is getting rid of the old stuff. I have done a bit of a wardrobe clean out, and I have cleaned a lot of my wardrobe of the things that I don't necessarily need. However, what I have left is a lot of materials that I have kept for prosperity's sake, I guess. And while they don't exactly fit into the way that I want to look, I still like the outfits. So I think I will have a small section of my wardrobe that is going to be clothing that was given to me or clothing that I feel is necessary in the 20th century, 21st century. Which year are we in? So here we are in the 21st century, and I want to have a little bit of normal clothing as well as more clothing that is loud, vibrant, and super me. So while, yes, I will probably keep at least one pair of black pants and one of my wonderful shirts that actually covers this area, I will probably be getting rid of a lot. But that is going to be for another day and another video. Those videos, I am going to go through all of my costumes I'm going to keep, which costumes I think could do a complete redo because I have much better skills than when I did them the first time, and which ones I'm just going to allow to retire and keep only because they were made by me once upon a time ago or have other emotional value. When it comes to my closet, I'm going to do very much the same. But I am going to keep more of the clothing that I've made for myself, and I'm going to adjust any clothing that I feel doesn't fit my aesthetic anymore. I am changing, and so are we all. And I think 2021 is the perfect time for change. I want to make this year brighter and better. So, first, brighter. Now, on to the next dress. I am going to take that mock-up, which was my apron, and I'm going to make another. I was not sure that I was going to make another one, as I wasn't positive that this pattern would be worth doing again. I also wasn't certain that my adjustments would be able to make this pattern and make it wearable, because I'm not very accustomed to changing patterns to fit myself, as I am a little bit larger than a lot of patterns, generally speaking, and I'm a little bit more box-shaped, and that's okay. So I wanted to be able to actually wear this and fit this in a more pleasing manner. That doesn't necessarily work every time, especially when you're going from a pattern that's much smaller to a pattern that's much bigger. I had to change where darts were, and I had to remove darts completely, because they didn't fit with my shape, my hips, and what I'm asking of the pattern. Used to be, back in the day, I followed the pattern exactly, and whether it fit or it didn't fit, I just kind of left up to the pattern. But that's not how fabric and patterns should be used. Make them part of you. And I wasn't sure that I'd be able to do that on a fabric that wasn't cotton. I'm very comfortable with cotton. It is very easy to modify, and it is easy to see where you make modifications on. So this is my muslin. So I'm making another one, but this time I'm going to make it out of satin and knit. All right, now for a couple confessions. I have a fear of cutting into my stash. I feel like I'm not good enough to cut into my stash for any given pattern. And sometimes that's little patterns, sometimes that's really big ones, and it holds me back. And I don't want it to continue to do so in 2021. So I guess my second goal, other than making a wardrobe that actually fits me, is to cut into my stash and not buy any more new fabric unless I do actually need it for a specific purpose. Third, I would like to get all of my commissions done. I have been very behind in doing things for other people, and I feel like I have let my people down. I want to get everything done. And goal and confession number 4. I do plan on making this year my experimental year and making YouTube my home, I guess. I plan on giving you the tips and tricks that I have learned and continue to learn, as well as those things that I do remember from my mom, maybe some quick tips from my mom. My mom is a seamstress of many years and many talents. She has done an extraordinary job of being there for a lot of us. And I don't mean just me and my siblings, but me, my siblings, my friends, our boyfriends, and everything else. I really do love her for being there for us for so much of our lives. She wasn't perfect, but none of us are, and I don't hold that against her anymore. That was a teenager's thing, and now we're adults. Or at least, I am. So that's what 2021 is going to look like for me. I'm going to take a sewing journey and take you along for the ride. If you want to stick around and come with me, go right ahead. If not, I'll see you later. Bye!